What if the forest you always thought was enchanting turned out to be a labyrinth of shadows, where whispers carried secrets of those who vanished without a trace? I found myself pondering this chilling thought as I stood at the edge of the black forest, its towering trees looming like ancient sentinels, guarding their mysteries with an unsettling silence. My name is Clara, and I had returned to my childhood home in Freiburg, a place where laughter echoed through the streets of the old town. Yet now, a thick fog of dread hung in the air, thick enough to choke the joy from my memories. As a child, I had heard the stories, tales of people who ventured too deep into the woods and never returned. The adults would exchange worried glances, their voices lowering to whispers, as if the very mention of the forest might summon something sinister. I had dismissed them as mere urban legends, figments of overactive imaginations fueled by a glass of wine too many. But after years away, I returned to find that the stories had only grown darker. Friends had gone missing, and the townsfolk spoke of strange lights flickering deep within the trees at night, a phenomenon that no one dared to investigate. I felt a pull toward the forest, a magnetic force that both excited and terrified me. It was as if the trees were calling my name, urging me to uncover the truth behind the veil of silence that cloaked them. The air was thick with the scent of pine and moss, and as I ventured closer, the sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy overhead. Shadows danced along the forest floor, and the rustling leaves seemed to murmur secrets meant only for those brave enough to listen. My heart raced as I recalled the trauma I had faced the last time I had been in this forest. A childhood friend, Lukas, had disappeared during one of our adventures. I had watched helplessly as he chased after a fleeting shadow, his laughter echoing until it faded into the depths of those darkened woods. The guilt of not following him, of not pulling him back, had haunted me for years. Now, standing on the threshold of the same forest that had claimed him, I felt the weight of my past pressing down on me like a heavy cloak. It was then that I noticed it. A flicker of movement just beyond the trees, something that didn't belong to nature. My breath caught in my throat as I squinted into the shadows, my pulse quickening. For a moment, the world around me fell silent, and all I could hear was the pounding of my heart. What was it? A trick of the light? Or something more sinister? I felt a chill race down my spine, and a primal instinct urged me to turn back, to retreat to the safety of the familiar streets of Freiburg. But curiosity clawed at me. I had to know. The forest held answers, and perhaps it held the key to Lukas's disappearance. I took a tentative step forward, branches cracking underfoot, and with each step the air thickened with an unseen tension, as if the forest itself was aware of my presence and was watching me, waiting. But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. As night fell, the forest transformed. The shadows deepened, stretching like dark fingers across the ground. The once familiar sounds of rustling leaves and distant animal calls gave way to an eerie silence punctuated only by the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. I felt a jolt of fear mixed with anticipation, heart racing as I plunged deeper into the underbrush. Suddenly, a voice broke through the stillness, a low, almost melodic whisper that seemed to swirl around me. "Clara!" It called my name, drawing me further into the darkness. My skin prickled with both fear and a strange sense of familiarity. I turned, searching for the source, but found nothing except the looming trees, their branches reaching toward me like skeletal fingers. I hesitated, caught between the desire to flee and the need to understand. Then I heard footsteps, quick, light, and close. I whipped around, my breath hitching in my throat. Emerging from the shadows was a figure, tall, cloaked in darkness, with eyes that glimmered like green flames. I stumbled back, ready to run, but the figure spoke, its voice soft yet commanding. "You shouldn't be here, Clara." "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "They call me Elysia," she said, stepping into the faint moonlight. Her features emerged, sharp, ethereal, with an unsettling grace. "I've watched you, and I know what you seek. You're searching for Lukas, aren't you?" My stomach dropped. "How do you know about him?" She took a step closer, her gaze unwavering. "This forest holds many secrets, and those who wander too deep often find what they didn't expect. Lukas, he ventured far. He's not lost. Not in the way you think." "Then where is he?" I demanded, my fear transforming into desperation. "What happened to him?" Elysia's expression softened, but her eyes remained distant. "To find the truth, you must confront the shadows. There are forces at play here that even I cannot fully understand, but I can help you, if you're willing to face them." A chill ran through me. I didn't trust her entirely, but I felt an undeniable connection to her words. "What do you mean by forces? What are you hiding?" Elysia hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "There are those who dwell in the depths of the forest, entities that feed on fear and sorrow. They've taken others, and they will not release them willingly. You must tread carefully." As she spoke, I felt a twinge of recognition, an echo of the stories I had heard as a child. The townsfolk had warned of these dark entities, but I had dismissed them as mere folklore. Now, standing before Elysia, I realized the truth behind. Their tales was more terrifying than I had ever imagined. "I can't just leave him," I said, determination rising within me. "I need to find Lukas. I need to know what happened." Elysia nodded, her expression resolute. "Then come with me. But know this, the deeper you go, the more you will be tested. You will face not only the forest's shadows, but your own." As we began to walk, the underbrush crackling beneath our feet, I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see the safety of Freiburg fading away. Instead, the forest loomed larger, more menacing, as if it were alive and breathing around us. With Elysia by my side, I felt the weight of my past, my guilt over Lukas's disappearance, beginning to surge to the surface. I could see it reflected in her eyes, the pain of those who had come before us, those whose stories had ended in darkness. But I also sensed something else, a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, I could unearth the truth and bring Lukas back. But as the shadows whispered around us, I could not shake the feeling that something was watching from within those depths, waiting for the moment to strike. As we moved deeper into the forest, the shadows closed in around us, molding the world into a tapestry of darkness. My breath quickened, and with each step, I felt the weight of my past pressing down on me. Memories of Lukas, the laughter we shared, the secrets we kept, flooded my mind, intermingling with the fear of what I might discover. Elysia led the way, her presence both a comfort and a source of unease. I studied her, searching for clues about who she truly was. The more I looked, the more I felt an unsettling familiarity, as if I had known her in a different life. I shook my head, dismissing the thought. This was no time for such distractions. Then, in the heart of the forest, we stumbled upon a clearing shrouded in moonlight. At its center stood an ancient stone altar, overgrown with ivy and pulsating with an otherworldly energy. My heart raced as I approached, drawn to the altar like a moth to flame. The air crackled with tension, and I could almost hear whispers emanating from the stones, urging me to listen. "What is this place?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Elysia's expression darkened. "This is where the forest's power converges. It is sacred, yet tainted. Many have come here seeking answers, but few have returned unchanged." Suddenly, a chill swept through the clearing, and my mind was flooded with fragmented images. Lukas, his face twisted in fear, dark figures looming over him, shadows writhing like snakes. I staggered back, clutching my head as the visions intensified. "No, no, this can't be happening! Clara!" Elysia's voice pierced through the chaos, grounding me. "Stay with me! You're experiencing the forest's memories. It shows us what we need to confront." But as I gazed at Elysia, doubt crept in. Was she truly here to help me? Or was she part of the very darkness I feared? My mind raced with questions, the thread of reality unraveling. "You knew him, didn't you? You knew Lukas before I did." Her eyes widened, and for a moment I glimpsed a vulnerability in her. I was connected to him in ways you cannot understand. But Clara, this isn't about me. It's about what he has become. "What do you mean?" I pressed, my heart pounding. "What are you hiding?" Elysia hesitated, and in that moment of uncertainty, I felt a chill wash over me. Not from the cold, but from the realization that I might not be the only one with secrets. Lukas made a choice that led him to the forest's heart. He sought power, thinking he could control it. But he was wrong. As her words settled like a heavy fog, I felt a tremor of betrayal. "You're saying he chose this? He wanted to disappear?" Elysia nodded solemnly. "Power has a price, Clara, and those who seek it often lose themselves in the process. The forest has a way of revealing the truth, but it also twists it. You must decide if you want to face that truth or turn back." With her revelation hanging in the air, I felt the ground shift beneath me. My entire understanding of Lukas and our journey together was crumbling. What had I missed? Had I really known him at all? I took a step back, wrestling with the realization that my own desires were entangled with the shadows of his choices. "Clara?" Elysia's voice broke through my spiraling thoughts. "There's something more." Before she could finish, the shadows around us writhed violently, and the whispers grew deafening. Suddenly, dark figures emerged from the trees, their forms flickering like smoke. I could feel their hunger, their intent to consume. In that moment, I realized the danger was far greater than I had anticipated, and my quest to save Lukas had become a fight for my own sanity and survival. The forest was alive, and it was watching, waiting for the moment to strike. I felt the air thicken around me as the dark figures emerged, their forms twisting and shifting like shadows cast by a flickering flame. Panic surged through my veins, and I instinctively took a step back, but Elysia grasped my arm, anchoring me to the spot. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices urging me to flee, to hide. Yet I felt an undeniable pull toward the altar, as if the very stones were calling me home. "Clara, listen!" Elysia shouted, her voice barely breaking through the chaos. "You have to confront this! You can't let them control you!" "Control me?" I echoed, my heart racing as I faced the swirling darkness. "What do you mean? I can't control anything!" The figures drew closer, their eyes glowing with a predatory hunger that made my skin crawl. I could feel their energy, a cold wave that threatened to swallow me whole. "You're not just here for Lukas," Elysia said, her grip tightening. "You're here to reclaim your own power." As I looked into her eyes, I saw a flicker of hope beneath her fear, a reminder that I wasn't entirely alone. But then doubt crept back in. What if I can't do this? What if I lose myself like he did? Elysia's expression softened, but her resolve remained firm. "You're stronger than you think. Lukas may have made his choice, but you can choose differently. You have the ability to break this cycle." With her words hanging in the air, something inside me ignited. I could feel the surge of energy coursing through the ground, connecting me to the altar. Suddenly, the whispers coalesced into a single voice, one I recognized all too well. "Clara!" It was Lukas, his voice laced with desperation. "Help me!" The shadows lunged toward me, their forms solidifying into grotesque visages, twisted, reflections of everything I feared. I felt the weight of their despair and anger, and a part of me wanted to succumb, to let the darkness wrap around me like a comforting blanket. But I wouldn't give in. Not now, not when I had come this far. Lukas, I shouted, forcing my voice to rise above the chaos. I won't let you go like this. I'll find you. The figures hesitated, their movements faltering as if my words had struck a chord. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the moment. I am not afraid of you. I will confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. As I stood my ground, a surge of power erupted from the altar, illuminating the clearing in a blinding light. I felt a connection to something greater than myself, an ancient energy that pulsed in rhythm with my heart. The shadows recoiled, their forms flickering like candle flames caught in a gust of wind. Elysia stepped beside me, her presence a fierce ally. Together, Clara, we can push them back. With her words fueling my resolve, I reached out, channeling the energy of the altar through my fingertips. It surged through me, amplifying my voice as I began to chant the words that echoed in my mind. The air vibrated with power, and the shadows writhed in agony, their faces morphing into those of lost souls, trapped in their own despair. In that moment, I realized the true nature of my struggle. It wasn't just about rescuing Lukas. It was about reclaiming every piece of myself that I had lost along the way. I had the strength to face the darkness, to confront not only the shadows of the forest, but also the shadows of my own heart. And as the light intensified, I felt a shift in the air, a change that signaled the beginning of a new chapter in my journey. The darkness wouldn't give up easily, but neither would I. I was ready to fight. My heart pounded with the rhythm of impending confrontation, and I could feel the forest holding its breath, waiting for the outcome of this decisive moment. And as the shadows converged once more, I prepared myself for the battle ahead, knowing that whatever lay on the other side would forever alter my destiny. As the light surged and the shadows writhed, I felt the energy within me intensifying, pushing against the darkness with every ounce of strength I could muster. The chanting grew louder, a powerful mantra that echoed through the clearing, resonating with the ancient stones of the altar. Suddenly, a piercing shriek broke through the cacophony, and I knew we were making progress. The shadows were not invincible. They were vulnerable to the light. But as the darkness began to dissipate, I felt a sharp pain in my chest, a searing reminder of the toll this confrontation was taking on me. I stumbled, clutching my heart, and Elysia rushed to my side, her face a mixture of concern and determination. Don't stop, Clara. You're almost there. With a deep breath, I pushed through the pain, channeling every ounce of my will into the light. The shadows recoiled, their forms twisting and dissolving, but not without leaving their mark. I caught glimpses of their faces, echoes of the lost souls they had once been, each one a reminder of the darkness that lingered just beneath the surface of my own mind. In a final surge, I shouted the last words of the chant, and the light exploded outward, engulfing the clearing in a blinding radiance. The shadows screamed, their forms shattering like glass, dispersing into the ether. As the brightness faded, I collapsed to my knees, gasping for air, the weight of what I had just faced crashing down on me like a wave. Elysia knelt beside me, her hands trembling as she assessed the damage. You did it, Clara. You broke the hold they had over him. But even as she celebrated, I could see the worry in her eyes. But at what cost? I looked down at my hands, now trembling, marked by faint scars that shimmered like threads of silver against my skin. The physical reminder of my battle, but the emotional scars ran deeper. I had faced the darkness, but it had left its imprint on my soul. Where's Lukas? I croaked, my voice barely a whisper. A shiver ran through Elysia, and she glanced toward the altar. I don't know. He was here, but... Her voice trailed off, and I felt a gnawing sense of dread. The fight had been won, but the resolution felt incomplete. There was still an emptiness, a lingering question of what had happened to him. As I struggled to my feet, a flicker of movement caught my eye near the altar. A small ethereal light pulsed in the shadows, a remnant of the darkness that had been vanquished, yet it beckoned me forward. It was a clue, a reminder that while we had fought bravely, the fight was not over. Elysia stood beside me, her expression resolute. We need to find him. If Lukas is still lost, we have to help him, but Clara... She hesitated, her voice trembling. What if it leads us back to the darkness? I met her gaze, feeling the weight of our shared journey pressing down on us. We'll face whatever comes next, together. There's still so much we don't understand. So many mysteries left unsolved. As we moved toward the pulsing light, I felt a new determination rising within me. The scars would remain, a testament to my battle, but they wouldn't define me. I had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, and as we stepped into the unknown, I realized that the true journey was just beginning. Behind us, the forest whispered secrets, the trees standing sentinel over what had transpired. Shadows still lingered at the edges of my vision, dark corners of the world that had yet to reveal their truths. I could feel the stories waiting to unfold, mysteries yearning to be explored, and I knew that whatever lay ahead, I was ready to confront it. As I reached for the pulsing light, a familiar energy surged through me, igniting memories of the battle I had just fought. The shadows may have been vanquished, but their essence lingered, entwining with my spirit. Elysia's hand gripped my shoulder, a grounding presence as we moved closer to the source of illumination. The light flickered, and in its glow, I saw not just the altar, but reflections of moments past, our first encounter, the whispers of the forest, and the darkness that had threatened to consume us. It was as if the very fabric of our journey was woven into this place, and I realized that every victory had simply been a prelude to the next challenge. Clara, Elysia's voice broke through my reverie. What if we're not meant to escape this cycle? What if we're destined to face the shadows again and again? Her words struck a chord deep within me. The realization washed over me like a cold tide. We had fought before, and we would fight again. The shadows were not just remnants of a past battle. They were a part of our existence, ever ready to rise anew. As the light dimmed, I felt the pull of the darkness creeping back, a constant reminder that the fight was never truly over. I glanced at Elysia, her eyes reflecting the same understanding. We were bound to this cycle, forever entwined in a dance of light and shadow, where every battle led to another. We will always return, I whispered. As long as there is light, there will be darkness, and as long as we breathe, we will fight. With that, we stepped back into the shadows, ready to confront whatever awaited us next, knowing that the story would repeat, echoing through eternity. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure. Leave a comment below, telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.